Hello and welcome back. So you join me today. I'm driving the Citroën Berlingo 2005 Mk1. If you've seen the channel before, then you know I've done a fair bit of work to this car. Replaced the bumper, the rear bumper. I've done the Cambelt, full service. Most recently I've started converting it into a bit of a micro camper. So I met a lovely chap on Facebook and for £500 bought this Amdro boot jump kit. Really happy. Took it for one camping trip with my son. And had a lovely weekend. Put the key in the ignition to go home, and it just cranked. Just cranked over. Wasn't a battery, wasn't a start motor, it was turning over just fine, just wouldn't quite catch. I thought that's weird. I thought must be an inertia switch or something, maybe where we've been camping in it and bashing around, maybe it's hit some sort of switch thinking it's been stolen. So I thought, fair enough. I had a little dig around, a bit of a play, primed the engine with a little primer pump, and nothing, just turning over, just not quite catching. I ended up getting towed home. Well, actually, I towed the vehicle home. My wife drove this as I pulled it home, which wasn't ideal. But we did that, and I thought, right, it must be fuel pressure. It's a fueling issue. There is no inertia switch. Did some Googling, there's no inertia switch in this model. So I was like, fine, it must be fuel pressure. It's been sat in the heat for the weekend. It was a heat wave, an O-ring, or a fuel line's finally perished and letting in some air. So I followed the lines down, I changed the quick connectors, I changed some lines, I changed the primer bulb, nothing. I got a can of diesel and I put my hose straight into that can, ran it up straight into the high pressure pump, nothing. I was absolutely losing my mind. I thought, oh, the cam belt, I changed the cam belt myself. I'm pretty sure the pressure pump's cam driven, maybe it's jumped the tooth. So I took off the wheel, took off the arch cover, had to drop the engine to get the cam belt cover off. No, perfectly in time. And this went on for several months, maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks. For a little while, it was out on the roadsides, probably caused my neighbours grief. I then managed to get it pushed up onto my drive, and again, just nothing. I chatted to a guy at work, and he said, oh, have you tried a spare key? And I thought, well, no, I haven't done a spare key, but why would I do that for? I mean, he said, oh, it could be an immobiliser sort of thing. I'm not massively familiar with those cars, but I mean, it sounds like a fueling issue, and if you've tried everything, maybe it's an immobiliser. Have you tried the key? And I said, well, actually, I did try and reprogram the key. I popped it in, and I pushed and held the button, and I did a full BSI reset, and I thought maybe the ECU's confused, and nothing. But I thought, you know what? It's been 6 weeks, 5 weeks, I'm already annoyed. I went and grabbed my spare key. Fired up straight away, didn't it? Fired up straight away. Roll clip. Yeah, not diesel issues. I probably didn't need to replace all those parts, including the fuel lines and the primer bulb and the quick connectors, but they were 22 years old. They were probably due. That's at least what I'm going to tell myself. But it does mean now I can fall in love with the Berlingo again, and I can enjoy it. So I have spent the whole day today replacing that bloody door. You know the one, the chalkboards. Yeah, horrible. Look at that. It's full of filler. I doubt it's got any kind of metal left in there, and it's been bugging me. It bugs me every time I look at this car. So I went onto eBay and I searched up the local scrap yards, nothing. Managed to find one, I think it was up in Peterborough, or maybe even further afar. And I ordered it, and it came. It's got a dent in it, which I knew about. It's got a bit of damage, which I wasn't so sure about. But all in all, for about £100, fine. It was stripped back, so I had to remove the door, and I've replaced it. New. Same glass, same door cards. I've greased it all up. I actually kept my rubber seals from the previous door as they were better. And now I have a fully functional, well, the door is fully functional. I have a very attractive door now to go with my very attractive Citroën Berlingo. So while the whole of the UK seems to be rushing to buy the latest new car, including Chinese EV imports and German cars which fail after the warranty expires, there is a little movement on YouTube, and it's something I'm really enjoying, and I'm a very small part of, is this kind of a vehicle longevity, maintaining stuff, fixing stuff, giving it a go. For those that don't know, I inherited this car for free. We got it from my wife's grandmother. She didn't drive it anymore. It was just sort of sat there. She'd had it practically from new, had it serviced every year. It's in mechanically really good condition. And I've just sort of done tweaks to it. I've upgraded all the interior lights to LED bulbs. I've got an aftermarket sort of Bluetooth. I've replaced the cam belt, the water pump, and the auxiliary belt that was close to snapping. And now I'm turning it into this camper. If I see someone driving a brand new car these days, I'm not really impressed. I don't go, oh wow, look, a brand new Mini Countryman, or a brand new BMW, or a brand new Chinesium EV. That person's potentially made some bad financial choices. Buying a car on finance, essentially borrowing a car for the cost of £600 a month, only after 2 years to give it back and borrow a new one. And I see the appeal. I get the appeal of having a brand new car, not having to worry about servicing, not having to worry about MOTs, having all the latest features and gadgets and bings and bongs, and it just doesn't really appeal to me. I've always liked older cars. Now this is in 2005. It's simple. There's no DPF to get clogged up and get angry. There's no aircon, which would be nice today, but there is no aircon to break and need regassing. It's a nice manual gearbox, 2-litre HDI diesel engine, simple. There is a turbo on it. I don't think it does much. 90 brake horsepower. Parts are cheap and it's easy to do. I don't need a fancy computer to tell me what's wrong with it. I've got this cheap OBD that does the job. I plug it in, it tells me sort of what's wrong, and I do a bit of Googling and figure out a fix. It's not quick, but it sounds loud, at least in here. Although that's due to the lack of sound deadening. And then the roof rack. I wonder if the mic's picking it up. Oh yeah. So if I go over 60, I get the whistling, but it does look manly, and that's important when you're driving a car like this. It's not quite disabled person spec, but it's not far off. But it's very practical. I can do tip runs in it. I can do camper trips in it. If it gets a car park ding, I don't mind. If I curb my plastic wheel trims, I don't mind. This, believe it or not, has had a complete clean MOT for the last couple of years, and just even the advisories on the history report are nothing. There's a bit of corrosion to the rear subframe. They tend to sort of rot and fall off on these, but it's all solid. I've lanyard guarded it, and I don't think it's going to cause any problem. I've done the front brakes and pads. There's something really interesting about working your own car. I inherited this car, and my plan was just to fix it and to learn. I hadn't done a Cambelt before, rather than give it a go on my daily, which yes, I service and yes, I look after, but I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just enthusiastic and will do a lot of Googling. I don't know where I'm going, so that's interesting. I think we get so bogged down with having the latest car. I mean, we're definitely badge snobs in this country. I really enjoy driving around in 2 Citroens because people say they're unreliable, and actually, you service them, you look after them. These HDI engines are decent. It's not the sexiest car, but actually, my Grand C4 Picasso, it's fully spec'd. It's got everything I want it to have. It's even got massaging seats, which I never use, and the steering wheel that parks itself. I used it once, and it was kind of interesting, and I've never used it since. But it's comfortable, and it's nice to drive, and it's good on fuel, and it's cavernous, great for the family, and I think it looks quite nice as well. This car has a whole different appeal, and I think it's got to the point now where it's almost cool, and not that that matters. Oh, I've gone the wrong way again. Not that it matters what people think, but you know, we are badge snobs in this country. Our registration format generally ages a car. You can tell how old a car is unless they get a private plate. So we're very quick to buy a brand new car, and the government's pushing us towards these EVs and these low emission vehicles, and they're saying it's the future and it's far better for the environment. I don't see how mining lithium abroad and having a car processed and created in China and then shipped halfway around the world and given to us is greener than maintaining a car which has been on this planet for 20, 30 years. The biggest cost of energy in carbon for this car is when it's created. That's spent. We've spent that already. That's gone. Now it's just maintaining. There's nothing green about driving a brand new EV if it means you've scrapped a perfectly good old car. Not everyone will maybe think you're cool, but does that matter? The people that matter think you're cool. And that's all that matters. I've done enough rambling for one day. Hopefully I'll splice in some footage of me fixing this car and doing bits and pieces. I should have indicated then, sorry. I hope you've enjoyed this different sort of rambly video where I drive along. I'm sure all 7 of you will appreciate it. But if you aren't already inspired, I don't know what will. Go out and get yourself a cheap car. Save it from the scrap yards. Save the planet.